Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're doing something incredibly practical. We're going to take a real, actual GACE 345 comprehensive assessment report and treat it just like game film. We're looking at a 241-point score report, and we're going to map out exactly how to secure those missing points to cross that finish line. If you've ever felt the absolute frustration of a near miss on a certification exam, this breakdown is going to completely change how you approach your next attempt.
We've got a highly structured roadmap today that acts as your definitive study syllabus. We're going to decode the score report, rescue the massive assignment 1, tackle district-level planning, perfect our professional development responses, and finally lock in your absolute test day persona. Let's get into it.
Starting right off with decoding the score report, let's look at the hard data from our case study today, Aaron J. Holland's April 2026 assessment.
Now, this story perfectly captures that incredibly relatable frustration of a near miss. Aaron landed at exactly 241 points, and you need 250 to pass this assessment. That is literally a mere 9 points away. But here's the thing, when you're this close, you don't need to relearn the whole shebang. You just need a strategic realignment. You need to know exactly where the evaluators felt something was missing.
To win this rematch, we absolutely have to play the waiting game. Objective 0001, that makes up a massive 40% of your total score. Objective 0002 adds another 30%. The remaining 3 are just 10% each. So the big takeaway here is that Objective 0001 dictates exactly where our study time has to go. If you don't dominate that first assignment, the math simply will not let you pass.
So let's talk about rescuing assignment 1. Let's see how we can take a low score and completely flip it into a highly actionable strategy for the most critical part of the test.
In Assignment 1, which, remember, covers integrating technology in student-focused teaching and general classroom deployment, Aaron scored only 4 out of 8 points. Because this section is worth 40% of the entire test, leaving half the points on the table here is exactly what mathematically kept him from passing. We have to rescue these specific points.
The scorer actually noted a limited understanding of the relevant content knowledge, basically saying it lacked the necessary evidence. But hey, here's the great news. We can fix this, and we can fix it easily. We do it by injecting a highly specific framework right into the response. We call it the 3-pillar response structure: content transformation, universal design, and technical resilience. This is all about signaling to the grader that, yes, you know the professional vocabulary.
So, what do these pillars actually mean in practice? Well, first, content transformation proves you aren't just, digitizing worksheets. You are using tech to fundamentally change how the content is learned. Second, universal design shows you're accommodating all learners, addressing accessibility right out of the gate. You're intentionally using models of how students and systems acquire and accept technology to actually improve learning. And finally, that third pillar. You must demonstrate technical resilience through explicit troubleshooting strategies. Please, don't just say you'll fix the computers. Actually explain your techniques to diagnose and resolve technical issues in a live classroom setting, whether that's simple fixes like restarting devices or addressing specific hardware interactions. Showing you have a structured troubleshooting approach proves you are genuinely ready for the realities of classroom deployment.
Moving on to district-level tech planning. This is Objective 00002, which carries a 30% weight and requires a completely different, much broader scale of thinking.
While Assignment 1 was all about the classroom, Assignment 2 is about the school and the district. Now, Aaron scored a 6 out of 8 here, which is decent, but we want perfection, right? For this assignment, your structural backbone is the technology implementation plan. Your essay needs to flow logically through 4 clear steps: identifying barriers to adoption, setting criteria to evaluate resources, securing involvement, and finally, evaluating and communicating the effectiveness of your solutions.
And the absolutely crucial point within that implementation plan: explicitly detailing stakeholder input. You cannot implement district-wide technology in a vacuum. You have to write about how you're securing involvement and feedback from individuals with a vested interest. Call them out by name in your essay: students, parents, teachers, administrators, and community members. This proves your district-level plan actually considers the voices of the real community. Building right on that district-level view, we arrive at perfecting professional development, which is Objective 0003, worth 10% of your score.
Aaron scored a 4 out of 8 on this assignment, which specifically asks for the design and implementation of professional development. The feedback noted a limited understanding, so we clearly need a tighter instructional framework here.
To rescue this assignment, you've got to ground your professional development scenario in adult learning theories. You have to explicitly explain to the grader that teaching adults is fundamentally different than teaching adolescents. You need to emphasize practical, experiential models that build on a teacher's prior knowledge. Like explaining why hands-on, probe-aware labs work best for training science teachers, for example.
Once you establish that theory, you lock it in with data-driven objectives. You do this by applying SMART goals to your professional development plan. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Don't just generically say teachers will learn the software. Write a real SMART goal into your essay. For example, by the end of the session, 100% of participants will create a measurable lesson plan integrating the new technology. That is exactly the kind of concrete evidence the graders are looking for to award full points.
All right, down to our final section, your test day persona. Let's talk about the absolute core identity you must adopt before you even set foot in that testing center.
For this exam, you are no longer just a teacher or a tech enthusiast. Every single response you write must be from the perspective of an instructional technology specialist. You are the professional who assists teachers, provides training, and ensures educational enhancement. Adopting this persona makes terms like universal design, stakeholder input, and adult learning theories your natural, everyday vocabulary.
Let's pull all of this together into a master attack plan for all 5 assignments. Here's the breakdown. For the 40% classroom assignment, deploy your 3 pillars. For the 30% district planning, rely heavily on implementation plans and stakeholders. For professional development, it's adult learning and SMART goals. For Objective 4, focus on mentorship frameworks. And for Objective 5, use advocacy strategies. If you memorize this complete matrix, you will be absolutely ready to deliver a structured, winning argument for any scenario they throw at you. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Given how heavily those first 2 assignments are weighted, making up 70% of the entire test, ask yourself this: how easily could integrating the 3 pillars in a structured implementation plan have changed Aaron's 241 into a resounding pass? The difference between a near miss and a certification isn't about working harder, it's about speaking the grader's language. Take these frameworks, adopt your specialist persona, and go claim those missing points.